Welcome to Chris Garcia, the Conservative American. God bless you, and thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for being with me. And once again, I'm so proud to be an American. And once again, I am talking about what's going on in the United States of America. And like I said, I will always bring up subjects that are near and dear to your heart and what is going on. One of the main things that's going on in our country right now is, of course, this whole immigration battle. You got the Democrats saying that they are not going to fund what's going on. They're not going to fund the fight against illegal immigration if Donald Trump does not come out and say what his reasoning is, fully explain himself as far as the immigration situation is concerned. They said that they wanted him to come out and explain himself and to be more exact on how he's going to treat illegal immigration. I'm sorry, I don't think I've ever seen a president in my life that has been more specific about how he feels about illegal immigration. I don't know exactly what else that he can say than what he's been talking about. You know, he's been very clear about his policy as far as illegal immigration is concerned. He feels like the people coming from certain countries should be vetted. He feels like he should know why they are coming in this country, why they want to be in this country. I don't understand what the big deal is about. I don't understand what they want him to clarify himself. Captain Cortez Masto is leading the Democrats in charges as far as they want him to clarify. They feel as if victims of crimes that are illegal immigrants will be even less, they'll have even less reason to come forward and just be less forthcoming and coming forward and describing their crimes that are committed against them, whether it be sexual, domestic, or otherwise, because they feel, of course, retributions and penalties if they're an illegal immigrant. Well, I understand what they're saying, but that's part of the risk that you take. Anytime you enter a country illegally, you're coming at your own risk. When you are undocumented, when you are coming here illegally, however you get to whatever country you're going to, it doesn't even have to be the United States of America, but you are coming at your own risk when you're coming undocumented. That means people don't know you're there. It means you're not supposed to be there. You're there illegally. And the people that hire you are hiring you illegally. The place where you're living illegally. And yet you want the same justification and you want the same protection as if a person that waited in line or waited to be documented in this country for years. That's not fair. That's not fair to them. They're working, they're paying taxes. It's not fair that you get the same treatment. That's a risk that you take when you come into this country illegally. I just totally disagree. Like I said, I think it's a national security issue. And I just can't believe that people turn things into a political issue about everything. This is not a political issue. This is a national security issue. And it's just something that shouldn't be done. It's something that's just ridiculous. We got to put country first. And it just makes absolutely no sense that we don't put country first, that we can just think about this as always a political fight. And I just think that's a shame. I think that unfortunately 9/11 didn't teach us much of nothing. And here we are 16 years later, and we're still having the same debates about keeping our borders open, about allowing anybody to come into our country. To me, it's just amazing that we're even having these discussions. People are just have such a short memory. I remember where I was at, and I remember the morning of September the 11th, 2001. I remember exactly where I was at, and it's just a shame that people have such a short memory. You remember those towers falling down. You remember the people jumping out of the buildings. You remember the fireballs. You remember the Twin Towers collapsing. And yet, it's just as if We didn't remember it. As if those over 3,000 people, all of those first responders, firefighters, police officers, volunteer people, didn't lose their lives because we had nuts hijacking planes and flying them into buildings. That happened in the United States. That wasn't a movie. That's not something that we're watching happen in another country, in a third world country. That happened in the United States of America 16 years ago, a little less than 16 years ago. How dare we dishonor those victims? How dare we dishonor those fallen? How dare we dishonor those first responders by leaving our borders open and unprotected and actually want to take in more refugees from more dangerous countries? It's as if we did not learn anything. No one has any problem with anybody coming into our country legally. Nobody has any problems with anybody waiting in line and wanting to come into our country and live in our great country and assimilate in our great country and be a proud, patriotic, tax-paying American. I don't think anyone in the world has a disagreement with that. No one. Where people have a disagreement is people coming into our country illegally. That's where people have the disagreement. To me, it makes no sense. It's a shame. It just seems like we've totally forgotten what happened on September the 11th. And of course, a decade before that, it was a World Trade Tower attack when a bomb went off in the basement of the World Trade Center. And again, people were killed, people were injured. I remember the smoke billowing out of the parking garages. And it just seems like people have just forgotten. And, all Donald Trump is doing is just calling for our country to be safe. And that's a non-political issue. It just really is. Politics has nothing to do with that. And yet everything to them is political. Everything. I don't know what Captain Cortez Masto was talking about. I don't know how Donald Trump is supposed to clarify himself anymore. It's just a shame what's going on in our country. And, it's just everything's being politicized. Everything has to be politically correct. And I just think that it's a shame. I think that they ought to back Donald Trump 100%. Like I said, I don't believe that has anything to do with anything. It's not a political issue. It's not one side or the other. It's not whether you're Democrat or Republican. It's just common sense. It's common sense. It's just that simple. You have people that, they want to politicize everything. Taxes is something to be debated. Whether a plant leaves the country or stays here is to debate. There's so many issues. Education is to be debated. The safety of Americans is not to be debated. Like I said on the last show, George W. Bush left with one of the lowest approval ratings in the history of our country. I believe it was in the upper 20s to lower 30s when he left office. That means 2 out of every 3 Americans thought he was doing a horrible job. A little over 2 out of 3 Americans, if you could do that percentage-wise. And yet, a few days after 9/11, when he showed up on that naval carrier, and he said that the world will hear from us, the people that did this will hear from us. His approval rating the next day was 77%, the highest of any president in American history. So that just goes to show you that certain issues are not political. When you knock down the towers in this country, when you killed Americans, everybody came together. Almost 80% of the country approved of the job that he was doing. And he didn't do anything. He didn't fight one battle. He just gave a speech. But yet his speech talked about how Americans would not sit and allow you to come into this country and fly over our country and kill American citizens. And just with that one speech, his approval ratings went to 77%, almost 80%. So that just goes to show you how this country feels when you threaten the United States of America. It is not a Democrat or Republican thing. It is a safety thing. It's a national security thing. And it just makes no sense to me why the Democrats continue to politicize the issue. It just makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Donald Trump is becoming increasingly disgruntled with the job that Jeff Sessions is doing. I think he should be disgruntled with a lot of people's jobs. I think a lot of people are not doing their job. I think a lot of people are not being loyal. And I think that Donald Trump, there are a lot of people I believe that he might want to think about getting rid of or think about changing their job. And I think that Jeff Sessions is one of them. When you have a meeting and you have a bunch of people in a room together, and you're the CEO of a company or you're the president of the United States or whatever it might be, and you come up with a narrative, and that narrative is, hey, listen, this is what we're going to say, this is what we're going to do, this is the way things are going to go. And if your narrative gets changed by the time those people leave the room, and you see them the next day on TV, and the narrative that you talk about is not the narrative that you agreed upon, you are very upset. And I think that's what's happening to some people. Donald Trump is a bold person. He's a bold speaker. He's a visionary. That's how he had such a successful business, a multi-billion-dollar business, expanding many countries across the world. He's a very successful man. I always try to explain to people this. I don't know if my background is finance. That's my background. And so when you have that's my background, finance. You have I wish it was my background is finance, and really, you're way too excited today. Anyway, my background is finance, and then when you have people, it's your name that they're using. Donald Trump didn't cause those companies to go into bankruptcy. He had absolutely nothing to do with that. They used his name. He was a small investor in the companies that have his name, even the companies and the businesses here out in Las Vegas, Trump Towers and Trump casinos all over the world, Atlantic City and everywhere else. They just use his name. He is actually financially a very small investor in his own businesses. And a lot of times when businesses go under, there's so many more people and there's so many things, happenstance that happens that you have no control over whatsoever. You have investors to pull out. You have investors to put themselves in bad financial situations and dealings that have nothing to do with your company or the company that you're doing business with. They have absolutely nothing to do with that. And they're just things that happen that are just not, you're not responsible for. So, but when your name is on the top of the building and you go to court, you're the one that is responsible for what's going on. You're the one that's named in the lawsuit. You're the one that investors or people file a lawsuit against. So you're held responsible, even though you might not be responsible for what's going on. So he's the one that had to go to court. He's the one that had to file. He's the one that took responsibility for what was happening. But I'm here to tell you, having a background in business is not always the person or the name on the door or the name on the building. It's not always the one responsible, whether it succeeds or fails. And he has always been a man in business that has stepped up. And whether the book, The Art of the Deal, or whatever it is, he's always stepped up and taking responsibility for whatever it is that he's going through. And so that I have to give to him. when his businesses were doing well, and when his casinos were doing well. Of course, he was always the one breaking ground, and he was always the one that was taking pictures, and taking some credit. But at the same time, when his businesses failed and when they were not doing good, he was the same person that would have to go to court and have to stand up and take responsibility when those businesses fail. So, he's been a man both ways. But I'm here to tell you it's not always his fault if his business fails. Sometimes it's not his fault. But when you are in a room, like I said, and you're coming up with a theme for what your company is going to do, what your business is going to do, whatever you and your people have come up with, it is important that you all have the same thing, that you all kind of come out of the room with the same narrative. And he feels like that's not happening. Whether it be Paul Ryan, whether it be Jeff Sessions, whether it be whoever, he feels like these people aren't being loyal, that there are leaks, that there are things going on that, he's not very comfortable with. And I think that he's getting tired of it, and I think that he's going to start talking about it and tweeting about it. I think he's going to start coming out on national TV. I've been calling for one thing for a long time. If there's one thing I respect Barack Obama's presidency is this. He knew that his ideas were so crazy and so insane, but he believed in them. We all knew on the south side of Chicago, we knew the extreme people, Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly, who, of course, they both tried to crucify and get out of Fox News. They were ahead on Barack Obama. Now that we look back, and I knew this, that they were telling the truth because I'm from the south side of Chicago as well as Barack Obama. We all knew that he was a nutty activist, and Bill, some of the people that he studied under were insane. But if I give him credit for one thing, he believes the insanity. Barack Obama believes in socialism. Barack Obama believes in big government. They know what's best for you. And what I respect about him compared to Bill Clinton or most other presidents, he's willing to act on it. Listen, a lot of people give Bill Clinton credit for a lot of things. Bill Clinton, honestly, was probably the weakest president of our time. Newt Gingrich and the Republican Congress and Senate ran the United States between 1992 and 2000. The deal with America that Newt Gingrich made about lowering taxes worked for our economy. Those were not Bill Clinton's ideas. Bill Clinton had a big government socialist agenda as well. And the Republicans just defeated it. Newt Gingrich just defeated him. He was very much a Republican president. And he was a Democratic president rhetorically as far as talking. But as far as his programs, as far as scaling back welfare, as far as tax breaks for the rich, he was very much a Republican conservative president. And that's why our economy, name me one Democratic president where the economy boomed. You can't. It's because they believe in big government. They don't believe in lower taxes. They don't believe in small businesses. They don't believe in that. They believe that they know what's best for you. Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, Lyndon Johnson, name your president. It does not happen under Democrats. Bill Clinton did not make the economy boom. It was Newt Gingrich and the Republican House and Senate. That's what drove the economy from 90. The same things that they fought George Bush on. They fought George Bush on those things. They defeated George Bush's tax cuts. They defeated him. If you remember the famous speech, read my lips, no new taxes. They defeated him on that. And so by the time Clinton came into office, though, the Republicans were much stronger. The contract with America that we all remember them signing in 1994, that was the reason for the economy booming over the next 8 years that Bill Clinton got credit for. And that's okay. That's okay. But I'm here to tell you the one thing that I give Barack Obama credit for more than any other president, Democrat or Republican, is that he believed in his own nuttiness. And when he came into office, he never even tried to reach across the aisle. he never even tried to deal with his own people in the Democratic Party. Because besides Nancy Pelosi and a few people, they thought he was nuts too. He just went directly to the American people, used the executive pen, and just pushed his laws through, including Obamacare. He never tried to negotiate with anybody about anything, and I think that that was absolutely brilliant. And I think that Donald Trump needs to do some of those same things. I've been calling on that. I've been calling on that for months now. He needs to just go directly to the executive pen and just get things done. Because Republicans or Democrats don't have the guts. They don't have the guts to get these things done. They don't have guts to get these bills passed. He's not going to get help from the Attorney General. He's not going to get help from the Vice President. He's not going to get help from the Speaker of the House. We all know how weak Paul Ryan is. He is not going to get any help. Anything that he does, he's going to have to do it on his own. Anything that he does. He is on his own. He is a rogue president. And that's okay, because he wants to repeal and replace every single executive order that Barack Obama ever passed. And that's why the Democrats are so upset. Listen, if they thought that they were going to win, do you think that they would be there? What person do you know that thinks they're going to win and is just upset? No one. When people think that they're going to win, they're very happy and they're very quiet. But they know what Donald Trump is going to do. Donald Trump is going to basically out Barack Obama. Barack Obama was a very good speaker. Donald Trump is a better speaker. Barack Obama was a very bad negotiator. Donald Trump was a very good negotiator. Barack Obama was very honest in what he believed in and what he was going to do. Donald Trump is even more honest and believes more in what he's going to do. And so he's just going to talk directly to the people. And he's going to eventually, you're going to see him go rogue. And he's just going to pick up that pen and he's just going to start repealing and replacing every single thing that Barack Obama used the executive pen to pass. He's just going to repeal, replace Obamacare. And he's just going to go down. He's going to say, you know what? I'm doing this for the American people. I've tried to talk to you. I've tried to negotiate with you. I'm done. I'm going to keep my campaign promises. And I'm going to just allocate money to build that wall. I'm just going to allocate money to make our defense stronger in our military. I'm just going to cut taxes. I'm just going to do what I think is best for the American people, and I'm going to leave it up to them. And I'm telling you right now, if he does that, he leaves it up to the American people, they're going to vote for him again. And I feel sorry for those Republicans whose terms are coming up, and they have to run against some of these Democrats, because I think they're going to lose their jobs. To me, it doesn't even seem like they care. It doesn't even seem like they care. If I was a Democrat, if I was a House member or I was a congressional member, I would go with Donald Trump because I think Donald Trump is a winner. And even if he doesn't, I think he's going to use his executive pen to get these things passed. But they are so in bed with the Democrats, a lot of these Republicans. They are so scared of some of these Democrats. They are so scared as coming off politically incorrect that's why they're running from the president. That's why they're not backing him. And let me tell you something, they're taking a losing position on that. They're taking a losing position because Donald Trump is going to win. Donald Trump is going to be president. There is no doubt in my mind he's going to win again in 3 years. And I think they're taking a losing position. I think they think that if they go against him, that they're going to win their elections. They're making a huge mistake. They're making a huge mistake. I think that the people would vote for them. But it's like they're cutting on CNN and MSNBC, and they're believing this crap. They're believing it. And the truth of the matter is, Donald Trump is more popular than they let you believe. Didn't they let you believe? They talk about his numbers now. They talk about how unpopular he is. Didn't they tell you that before the general election last year? Didn't they say he had absolutely no chance to win the election? Hillary Clinton was a shoo-in. He'd be lucky if he won 10 states. There was no chance of him winning Michigan or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania. No chance of Ohio or Florida. The demographics were against him. He had made women so mad at him. He had made minorities so mad at him. that there was no chance of him winning. He didn't connect with the everyday American. He won every one of those states. So you keep listening to what the pundits are saying, you keep listening to what CNN and MSNBC are telling you. And I'm telling you right now, all of you people that are up for election next year, all of you House members, all of you congressional members that are not backing the President of the United States, you are rolling the wrong dice. You're about to crap out. Because I'm telling you right now, he's going to win. He's going to win in 3 years, and you're going to wish that you had rolled with him. You're going to wish that you had passed some of his laws, that you had stood with him when he was battling these Democrats to fight for America, to make America great again. I think you're going to come out on the losing end because you're going to have to watch him at another inauguration 3 years from now because the American people are going to vote for him. They're going to vote for him because they know he stands up for America, that he fights for America. So you just think about that. But I'm telling you right now, and I've been calling for this for months, I know he's getting frustrated. I know he's getting upset. I know he's becoming disgruntled with a few people. But he needs to just pull a Barack Obama. He needs to pick up that pen and he needs to just start repealing and replacing everything that Barack Obama did. And at the same time, putting his things into law. He needs to cut taxes. He needs to continue to save jobs. He needs to continue to keep corporations here. He needs to continue to threaten them that if they leave this country, they're going to be taxed if they try and sell their products back to the United States of America, that there'll be tariffs against their companies. He needs to continue to make it competitive for companies to stay in the United States of America. He needs to just keep his promises he made to the American people. He needs to allocate money to get that wall built. He needs to continue to strengthen the Border Patrol and spend money on the border agents. He needs to just keep doing what he's doing and keep his promises to Americans. I want to thank you so much for listening to me today. God bless America. God bless our troops. Godspeed to Donald Trump. Chris Garcia, the Conservative American. Google this. We will be up in a little while. And stay tuned in about a half an hour. You have Blue Laker with Cobra. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.